Was this really just a simple mistake, or is it something way deeper? Imagine the kindest man on the street. Now imagine him whispering in a kid's ear, telling him that the only way to survive is through blood and violence. It sounds like a horror movie, right? But for Sam Blakeman, this is real life. We aren't just seeing a bad dream or some teenage phase here. We are watching a young boy's reality literally fall apart right in front of us. Is Sam being groomed by his own brain to become a killer? Or is there a darker force at play in Weatherfield? To really understand the horror of what we're seeing, we have to look at the mess Megan Walsh left behind. This isn't just a story about a teacher and a student. It's a deep look at how trauma can actually rewire a kid's brain. Sam was the one who saw the truth about Will Driscoll. And for that, he was punished with a campaign of mental warfare that would break a grown man. So, why did Sam's mind fracture now? It's what I call the aftershock effect. When the real threat, Megan, was gone, all that internal pressure had nowhere to go. His brain stayed in high alert mode and started creating its own enemies just to justify the fear. Have you ever felt so alone that you started arguing with yourself? Sam feels utterly abandoned in his own head. Even with Nick and Leanne standing right there, he is miles away. That kind of isolation is where the monsters start to grow. Did I see this as a dark twist on the whole mentor thing? Usually, an older person gives a kid wisdom. Here, Sam's mind has stolen the image of that wisdom, Roy Cropper, and turned it into a weapon of self-destruction. I honestly think this is some of the bravest writing we've seen on the cobbles in years. They aren't just giving us a sad story. They're giving us a psychological thriller where the villain is a hallucination of the show's moral compass. It's a classic case of what doctors call ego-dystonic hallucinations. The things this evil Roy says are the exact opposite of everything Sam believes in. His brain is trying to force him to be tough in the most toxic way possible, just to survive. The moment Sam started seeing Roy as a source of malice, everything changed. The real Roy is a safe harbor. He's steady. He's kind. But the Roy in Sam's head? He is cold. He is calculating. And he is very dangerous. Why did his brain pick Roy? Probably because Roy is the only adult who truly speaks Sam's language. By corrupting Roy, Sam's mind has cut off his last line of defense. If you can't trust Roy, who can you trust? The heartbreak here is that Sam actually wants to be like Roy. To have your hero turn into someone who calls you a coward for not being violent is just cruel, I've got to say. It's deeply unsettling to watch David Nielsen play this evil version of Roy. It feels wrong, like a glitch in the world. And that's exactly why it works. We feel just as lost as Sam does. Sam is basically projecting all the anger he isn't allowed to show. He's the good kid, the brilliant boy. He can't punch Will Driscoll in real life, so his brain creates a version of his hero who says he has to. There was this scene in the bistro that perfectly showed this nightmare. Roy sits down for a game of chess. It's a game of logic. But as soon as the real Roy steps away, the other Roy takes his place. This other Roy tells Sam that Nick never really wanted him. That is a tactical strike on a kid's heart. By making him doubt his dad, the hallucination makes sure Sam stays locked in his own world. Imagine the terror of thanking the real Roy for advice that he never actually gave. Sam is living two lives right now, and they are about to crash into each other. The chess game is like a battle for Sam's soul. On one side, you have kindness. On the other, you have paranoia. The problem is, the dark side is winning. It's fascinating that the hallucination uses Sam's intelligence as a reason to be paranoid. It tells him that because they are smart, they are targets. It's using Sam's own gifts against him. Then we have the tracking device. Nick, because he's desperate and loves his son, hides a tracker in Sam's bag. He thinks he's being a good dad. But in a world of psychosis, there's no such thing as a helpful secret. When Sam finds that tracker, it isn't just a gadget. It's proof that his paranoia is right. It validates every lie the evil Roy told him. Nick's heart is in the right place, but he is totally out of his depth. The look on his face when he realizes he's made things worse is haunting. He's trying to hold on to a son who is slipping away. The tracker represents how parents sometimes fail to understand mental health. You can track a GPS, but you can't track a thought. Nick is looking for Sam's body, but Sam's mind is already gone. I think Nick needs to stop playing detective and start listening. His secrecy created the very evidence the hallucination needed. It's a tragic irony that the man trying to save him is the one who pushed him over the edge. Once someone in that state finds proof of a conspiracy, their logic becomes bulletproof. There's no talking them out of it. Now, things go from troubling to lethal. Sam locks himself in the cafe with the real Roy and the hallucination. He is literally seeing double. One Roy is trying to calm him down, and the other is telling him to rid himself of the enemy. The cafe is usually a safe place. By turning it into a cage, the show is telling us that nowhere is safe anymore. The evil Roy is demanding blood, and Sam is at his breaking point. The real Roy is terrified, not just for himself, but for the boy. He is watching a mind unravel, and he can't fix it. This is a literal fight with a shadow. Sam has to choose which Roy is real. In a high-stress moment, the brain often picks the one that promises power. Ben Price is doing incredible work as Nick. You can see the helplessness of a father watching his son become a stranger. The aggression we see from Sam is so weird for him that it's chilling. This is an acute psychotic episode. The brain is overloaded. When the real Roy tries to help, Sam thinks it's a trick. His fight or flight response is stuck on fight. Then Carla Connor steps in. When everyone else is panicking, Carla is the one who sees the truth.
Why?
Because she's been there. She's walked those dark halls in her own mind before. Carla recognizes that look in his eyes. She knows Sam isn't being a brat. She sees a medical emergency. There's a beautiful, tragic bond here. Carla looking at Sam is her looking back at her own breakdown after the factory roof collapse. She is the only one who can truly feel the horror of not trusting your own eyes. Carla is the wounded healer in this story. Her trauma gives her the power to speak when everyone else is just noise. When she says the word psychosis, the weight of it finally hits home. I love that the show uses its own history like this. It makes the world feel real. Carla's help isn't just a plot point. It's necessary. She provides that external reality check that Sam needs. She's black and white, and that's exactly what a kid in a fog needs. But here's the big question. Is Sam already a killer? We have to talk about the theory that's blowing up online. Did Sam kill Theo Silverman? We saw Sam crying the night Theo died. We saw him fighting a hallucination near the scaffolding. If Sam mistook Theo for Will Driscoll, he might have defended himself against a man who wasn't even doing anything. The evil Roy has been telling him to take preemptive steps. Did Sam already listen? Imagine the guilt if Sam gets better only to find out he killed someone while he wasn't there. That's a burden no kid should have to carry. I think the show is intentionally blurring these lines to keep us guessing. By making Sam a suspect, they make the tragedy even worse. He isn't a villain, but he might be a killer. And that difference is gut-wrenching. It would be a massive twist, but it feels earned. We've seen the anger. We've seen the visions. If Sam did it, it changes everything on the street. We're seeing the world through Sam's eyes, which means we can't even trust what we've seen in the past. Everything is up for debate. While Sam is fighting a war in his head, Summer Spellman is fighting for her life in a hospital. She turned off her own insulin pump because she couldn't face prison. And why is she in prison? Because people like Tyrone Dobbs stayed quiet to protect themselves. There is a huge theme of the cost of silence right now. Tyrone's silence put Summer in a cell. Nick and Leanne's denial about Sam put Roy in a cafe with a kid who might lash out. The scene where Summer confesses to Todd is devastating. She reached a point where she'd rather die than go back to a cell. It's a level of despair that is hard to watch. Summer and Sam are two sides of the same coin. Both are kids being crushed by adult problems, grooming, murder, and a legal system that doesn't care. Tyrone finally telling Fizz the truth is a relief, but is it too late? He let a young woman rot in prison while he sat on phone footage. His moral backbone is looking pretty weak right now. This is survivor's guilt turning into self-harm for Summer. She doesn't feel like she deserves to live. It's a cry for help that is almost too quiet to hear. And then we have Daniel Osborne. He is falling into the same traps as everyone else. He's being trolled by someone called Truth Teller 2, only to find out the troll is Jodie. the person he was starting to trust. Daniel has always been his own worst enemy, but this betrayal is different. It just proves to him that he is unlovable and that the world is a mean place. To have your parenting questioned by a social worker while the person in your own home is attacking you online? That is a mental nightmare. Daniel's dark side is coming out, and that's a scary place for him. Jodie saying she had good intentions is a pathetic excuse for emotional abuse. She's playing with his life, and Daniel doesn't have anything left to give. I'm glad he threw her out. He's had enough bad relationships. But the damage is done. His ability to trust is dead. This is re-traumatizing a guy who already feels abandoned from his childhood. He's not just reacting to Jodie. He's reacting to every person who ever let him down. Today, as we look at next week, things aren't just getting tense. They're going to explode. We have a boy in a psychotic state, a man with a bad heart, and a street full of secrets. I have a few predictions. First, I think during that cafe standoff, the real Roy is going to have a massive heart attack. Sam will be stuck between a dying Roy and an evil Roy telling him to keep going. That might be the shock that either saves Sam or breaks him for good. Second, I think the evidence the police are finding is going to point at Gary Windass. But Gary might be covering for someone. Could he be taking the fall for Sam? Did Gary see what happened and decide to protect the boy? And finally, Carla isn't going to just walk away. She is going to become Sam's biggest defender. This is going to cause a massive fight with Leanne, who will feel like Carla is stealing her kid. The war over how to treat Sam will tear that family apart. At its heart, this show has always been about community. But right now, that community is failing its kids. Whether it's Summer in a hospital or Sam in a fog, the safety net has some huge holes in it. We are watching a masterpiece of storytelling where every secret is a ticking bomb. This isn't just a soap. It's a look at how fragile the human mind really is. So, what do you think? Do you think Sam actually killed Theo Silverton? Or is the show just leading us down a dark path to keep us guessing? And if Roy has a heart attack during that standoff, can we ever forgive Nick and Leanne for not getting Sam help sooner? Let me know your theories in the comments. I read every single one of them. If you want to stay updated on all the drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so you never miss a deep dive. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one for more analysis of life on the cobbles. Was this really just a simple mistake, or is it something way deeper? Have you ever looked at someone you love and realized they aren't actually there anymore? That's the terrifying reality currently gripping the cobbles of Coronation Street, and honestly, it's some of the most gut-wrenching television I've seen in years. We aren't just talking about a teenager having a rough patch or being a bit moody. We are watching the total collapse of a young boy's mind. Sam Blakeman, the kid we've watched grow up, the brilliant little scientist who always had an answer for everything, is losing his grip on what is real. And the scary part? The person leading him into the darkness is a version of the man he trusts most in the world. Imagine the kindest, most principled man on the street, Roy Cropper. Now imagine a version of him whispering in a child's ear, telling him that the only way to survive is through blood and violence. It sounds like a horror movie, but for Sam, it's his everyday life. How does a kid even begin to process that? When your own brain turns your hero into a monster, where do you turn for help? To really get why this is happening, we have to look at the wreckage left behind by Megan Walsh. This isn't just a story about a teacher and a student. It's a surgical look at how trauma can rewire a developing brain. Sam was the one who saw the truth about Will Driscoll and that grooming nightmare, and for that, he was punished with a campaign of psychological warfare. Megan didn't just bully him, she tried to erase his sense of truth. So, why is he breaking now? Well, think about the aftershock effect. When the external threat of Megan was finally removed, all that internal pressure had nowhere to go. His brain stayed in high alert mode, and when it couldn't find a real enemy, it started making them up to justify its own terror. It's like his mind is stuck in a loop of fight or flight, and it's chosen to fight everyone. Sam feels completely abandoned in his own head right now. Even with Nick and Leanne right there, he might as well be on another planet. That kind of isolation is a breeding ground for the monsters he's seeing. I think this is a dark subversion of the mentor trope we usually see in soaps. Usually, the elder gives the youth wisdom. Here, Sam's mind has stolen the image of that wisdom and corrupted it into a weapon of self-destruction. I honestly think this is some of the bravest writing the show has done in a decade. They aren't just giving us a sad story, they're giving us a psychological thriller where the villain is a hallucination of the show's moral compass. The moment Sam started seeing Roy as a source of malice, the stakes changed forever. The real Roy is currently fighting for his life with a failing heart, needing a stent and facing his own mortality. But the Roy in Sam's head? He's cold. He's calculating. He's dangerous. Why Roy? Because Roy is the only adult who truly speaks Sam's language. By corrupting Roy, Sam's psychosis has effectively cut off his last line of defense. If you can't trust Roy, you can't trust reality itself. The heartbreak here is that Sam wants to be like Roy. He wants that steady, intellectual life. To have that role model turn into a person who calls you a coward for not being violent is a special kind of cruelty. It's deeply unsettling to watch David Nielsen play this evil Roy version. It feels wrong, like a glitch in the world. And that's exactly why it works for us as viewers. We feel as disoriented as Sam does. Sam is projecting all the anger he isn't allowed to show. He's the good kid, the brilliant boy. He can't punch O'Driscoll in real life, so his brain creates a version of his hero who tells him he has to. There was a scene in the bistro that I think perfectly showed this entire nightmare. Roy sits down for a game of chess, a game of logic and rules. But as soon as the real Roy steps away, the other Roy takes his place. This hallucination tells Sam that Nick never really wanted him. Think about that for a second. That is a tactical strike on a child's sense of safety. By making him doubt his father, the hallucination ensures that Sam stays locked in a world of one. Imagine the sheer terror of thanking the real Roy for advice that the real Roy never gave. Sam is essentially living two parallel lives right now, and they are about to collide in a way that someone might not survive. The chess game is a metaphor for the struggle for Sam's soul. On one side, logic and kindness. On the other, paranoia and preemptive steps. The problem is the malicious side is winning. I find it fascinating that the hallucination uses the concept of intelligence as a reason to be paranoid. It tells Sam that because they're smart, they are targets. It's using Sam's own gifts against him. This is the definition of a brain turning into a cage. Then we have Nick Tilsley, who, out of a desperate love, decides to hide a tracking device in Sam's bag. He thinks he's being a good dad, but in a world of psychosis, there is no such thing as a helpful secret. When Sam finds that tracker, it isn't just a gadget. It is physical proof that his paranoia is right. It validates every lie the evil Roy has told him about trust. Nick's heart is in the right place, but he is completely out of his depth. The look on his face when he realizes he's actually worsened Sam's condition is haunting. He's trying to hold onto a son who is slipping through his fingers like sand. The tracker represents the modern parent's failure to understand mental health. You can track a GPS coordinate, but you can't track a thought. Nick is looking for Sam's body, while Sam's mind is already gone. I think Nick needs to stop playing detective and start being a listener. His secrecy created the very evidence the hallucination needed to take control. It's a tragic irony that the man trying to save him is the one who pushed him over the edge. Once a person in psychosis finds proof of a conspiracy, the logic becomes bulletproof. There is no talking them out of it after that. The situation is heading toward a point of no return. Sam is going to lock himself in the cafe with the real Roy and the hallucination. He is literally seeing double, one Roy trying to calm him down and another Roy telling him to rid himself of the enemy. The cafe